Let's try that again. Good evening, everybody. Question for you. Do you have psychic powers? Are you someone that sees auras or sometimes connects to the other side? Well, I'm imagining almost all of you do and are. And tonight we're going to learn more about how to cultivate our magic gifts, how to cultivate and grow our psychic powers. And I am grateful because I get to share tonight with one of my dear friends, our co-host for the evening, the wonderful Alan Steinfeld, Mr.
Well,
Media Contact.
always good to be making contact, as we say in this business. We'll have to do another one of those shows, but tonight's show is going to be fantastic because we have very gifted people with us. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's fun. So I'm going to let you briefly introduce the two people you have brought on, and then we'll do a bigger introduction later. But let's start with Donna.
Donna McGrath is known as a miracle healer. Really, if you have something that you've been to everyone to find out how to cure it or how to be healthier, Donna will discover it. She'll go into this inner psychic awareness and diagnose you and give you the right substance. She's responsible for keeping Sean David Morton alive for so long. So
Oh,
yes, we all knew Sean, and she was the one. And so she has so many gifts and so much healing potential and knowledge that I'm so happy you're here, Donna. Thank you.
oh, beautiful. And thank you for keeping our beloved Sean alive. Sean and I both were the first two producers hired by a TV show called Strange Universe and did a lot of work together. We had a great couple of years there. Tell us about Hakeem.
Hakeem Isla is he's like a genius himself. He worked for the Monroe Institute. He's a remote viewer, but he's putting together something called the Psy Games, August 1st to the 3rd, where people will come together and share their psychic powers and also compete in a playful way about, who's the best remote viewer, who can be the most telepathic, who can work their psychic energies. So we're coming together August 1st to the 3rd for the Psy Games in Charlottesville, Virginia. We're going to talk more about that. Thanks, Hakeem. Great genius idea. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, looking forward to learning all about that. And we're going to have with us Celestine Starr. Yes, Celestine is going to be with us tonight, not in the physical body, as we all know, she let that go, but she's coming to us through not one, but two wonderful human beings, two scribes. Michaela Ivy, who has been on the show a few times recently, and is a brilliant coach, counselor, best-selling author. And Michaela is going to share with us both how she's developed her psychic abilities in connecting with Celestine. And Michaela has suggested that we bring on her good friend, Jen Healy, who also is a longtime friend of Celestine, who's also still working with Celestine on the other side. So we're going to learn from both of these ladies about how do you do that? How do you have ongoing contact with a beloved on the other side? And how wonderful that that beloved is our Celestine Starr that so many of us on this show know. So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful show. And of course, we have music. We've got Omashar. He's going to be with us for 3 songs tonight. It's going to be a 3-song night and probably a 2.5-hour show because we've got a lot going on tonight. And hello, Mr. Omashar. How did your this morning you spoke? Omashar speaks.
I did. I spoke. I was interviewed for an hour on Humanity's Team, and it was absolutely amazing because the woman that interviewed me, Carissa, was so good at guiding because I'm normally used to just singing, and but this time she managed to tease out of me all of my past history or herstory, as you like to say, and I just noticed that we have someone come into the room that you met yesterday, and that was a mutual friend of ours, and Dr. Ann West.
Ah,
A deep, I have a deep soul connection with this woman, and hey, and the sweetheart. And the reason I'm bringing it up was because before I knew that you had met with our mutual friend yesterday, for I don't know, sushi or whatever, the song that I intuited to open this with was called Another Dawn, was actually seeded in Dr. Ann West's studio in Hawaii, her music studio. And then I picked up the seed of it a few years later and wrote it into this song. And then I found out that you were going to be with us tonight. And holy smoke, there it is. And I just put this background on because it was good to go with the song. But anyway, here we go. Let's see what happens, shall we? And okay, oops, all these people. All right. Another dawn, another day. Innocent child coming your way. I've been wondering about my life. Oh yeah. Wondering about my state of mind. But then I heard, who is it for? If not for yourself, how do you feel? And why do you cry, 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 cry? Shooby-doo-wop. Whoa. The sun is warming up my mind. Ocean breeze blows me away. And I've been wondering about my life. Oh yeah. Wondering who will take my place. But then I heard, who is it for? If not for yourself, how do you feel? And why do you cry, 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 cry? Who is it for? If not for yourself, how do you feel? And why do you cry, 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 cry? And who is it for? If not for yourself, how do you feel? So come on, let's fly. Come on, let's fly.
Hey, I'm on Gallery View. Let's all give a big twinkle to our beloved Omashar.
Twinkle toes.
Twinkle those fingers. And thank you for moving and dancing to the music.
Just the fact that we're all so connected, and it's only our dense minds that kind of slow things down. I'm just so honored for this night and for this moment. Thank you.
It is really kind of amazing. Ann West, who he's talking about, I had lunch with today. Ann and I go back decades. We made a documentary together in Cambodia. And then she mentioned, Omashar is on your show all the time, isn't he? I said, yeah. And we discovered that we both have a long history of loving Omashar and being well supported by this beautiful man. And while we're embarrassing him, I want to remind
Embracing, isn't it?
of that too. Hey, you can get Omashar music, of course, every Wednesday and Saturday night by being on the show. But also, he's got a great YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, go to Omashar Music, and there's some great, great videos. Hypnotized and Just a Breath Away, two of his newest.
He actually dropped another one yesterday, and it says in the thingamajig there, "I love you," but it's actually a song called "In the Stillness," and that was the greatest screenshot I could get of it. So anyway, yeah,
All right, so
onward,
us.
onward and forward.
And we will have more Omashar a little bit later on tonight. Alan, I'm going to bring it over to you to introduce Donna and get us going.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Donna, I'm so happy Donna McGrath is here. She is called a miracle healer. I had a friend who had done everything to help him get out of his depression, out of his whatever illness was going on. He said, I'm at the end of my rope. Who can I call? I said, there's one person I know, Donna McGrath. And she somehow is able to tap not just into the physical, but the etheric, and bring out these esoteric cures, physical cures. She has a full scope of medicine on many levels because she was trained as a molecular biologist. She was invited to the White House under Ronald Reagan for her groundbreaking work with sickle cell anemia. She was noted in Newsweek, Time, API, UPI, the Wall Street Journal. As seen on CNN, Donna is a divinely gifted master energy healer and trance medium who communicates and facilitates real miracles with the other side. I've seen it. I've said, Donna, help me. She's a generous person, and she has a great. People like this aren't just. It just doesn't come to them one day. Donna did a lot of inner work to get to this place. So, Donna, welcome to the program. Do you want to share your story a little bit and how you work with your healing energies?
Thank you so much, Alan. It's a pleasure to be here. It all started, I guess, probably when I was younger, but yeah, when I was 5 years old, actually. I remember walking to kindergarten with my best friend, and she said to me, she said, Kathy O'Brien's mother has something called cancer. And she said, I'm like, well, what's cancer? I didn't even know. I was 5 years old. And she said, oh, it's a disease that you get and you die from. And I said, oh, I'm going to be able to heal that. And then we just walked on and we went to kindergarten. It's very interesting. So as life went on, I became a medical technologist at the University of Cincinnati, and then went on to the NIH. And when I first got to the NIH, I was sharing a lab with Candace Pert. I know that probably all of you know about Candace Pert. She wrote the book Molecules of Emotion, and she was there at the NIH when I was there. Bruce Lipton was there. Greg Braden was there. We were all there at that very magical time. Also, Dr. Fauci was there as well. At any rate, I
What? Is that just me, or is she
No,
frozen?
she's frozen. Donna, you're frozen, sweetie.
She frozen time. All right.
All right. Well,
We may have
we
lost.
will get back to Donna. It looks like we lost her for a bit. Why don't we, Alan, go ahead and introduce Hakeem, and we will resume with Donna if and when she comes back.
Okay, yeah, no, Donna was just getting to the really dramatic
I
part.
know. We will definitely, hopefully, she'll get her internet back
We'll
on.
come back. Well, yeah, almost as amazing as Donna is Hakeem is Isla. He worked as a remote viewer. He's connected to the Monroe Institute, but the best thing that he is doing is called the Psy Games. Unleash your extraordinary energies. He's putting together a kind of friendly competition in Charlottesville, Virginia. The Psy Games are a dynamic, inclusive platform for individuals with psychic abilities. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or a newcomer, here's a chance to network, upgrade your talent, and really come into a community of people where this is not a foreign language. This is an acceptable fact. And now with the telepathy tapes out there, this understanding that we are all telepathic and can activate these gifts are part of our natural human heritage. So Akeem, talk about what your vision was for this event and what's going to happen at the Psy Games.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alan. So the Side Games is my little baby that came to me as a download, and I kind of was like, well, nobody's really done anything like this before, and I don't have time for it, and I need to just let it go. And it kept coming up again and again and again until I just couldn't ignore it anymore, and I had to kind of move forward. And one of the ways that it really showed itself is that I have two martial arts schools that I teach kids self-defense and confidence and things of that nature. And we teach this martial art called ninjutsu, which has this lore back to the mountains of these warrior monks in Japan, and the kids would always be doing like these mudras with their hands and stuff, like they were these cartoon characters in animation movies of today. And I was like, there's things like that you could really do that we have in our martial arts system as well. And they'd be like, oh, well, show me how to do that. And I really didn't have a way other than like saying, hey, do experiential training in nature like I have for many, many years, and then maybe you'll have an experience. And so that kind of got me into researching different modalities and protocols like remote viewing and mind sight, being able to see without your eyes, and different things like that, working at Monroe and doing Gateway and things of that nature. And I came back with these protocols and started showing them to the kids, and they were enjoying themselves. It was amazing. They were having like this great time. And as I was traveling to different events, I saw that there was a huge age gap. There would be like people who they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s and up, but there was no one in these younger age brackets that were going to these different trainings and events and stuff like that. And I was just like, wow, how do we bridge the gap between the youth and the adults? And in my opinion, what I've seen is that kids will have these abilities, and then they will get to a certain point where logic takes over and the materialistic and reductionist aspect of society takes over. And then they'll kind of let them go. And then later in their 30s or 40s, they'll come back to it and they'll be like, oh, yeah, when I was a kid, I could do that. But, it was no real support there. So they kind of let it go. And it's very rare to find a youth who has that support growing all the way up. Maybe they come into the right family and that family understands these abilities are gifts and that they should be, nurtured and grown. But that's a minority. That's not the majority. And so the Side Games is a way to bridge the gap between, it's something that adults can do, where they can come and they can have a fun time competing and have fun with their psychic abilities. And if they don't know how to go about training or growing that, there'll be people there who are researchers and people who are developers of these skills that can help them and that they can make connections that way. And then also it's going to be for youth, and the youth can come and they can also have fun and they can grow in these different ways, and they can link up with mentors, which is a big key, having those mentors who have been there for a long time doing the work and really being able to bring the youth up to that next level. So now we start creating a new paradigm where those who are 15 today become 25 tomorrow, 30, they have their children, and to them, this is all normal. So then when their children come up, they're helping to grow that next generation, into the same type of knowledge and skill sets.
Right.
And so we have three facets to the Side Games. One is the actual games, where we want to also, in a fun, loving community. Sometimes people hear the word competition and they think negative. And really, I think that's, because sometimes in America, you have these competitions and they tend to be very sometimes negative. You got people who come from different backgrounds and they have different views. But if you build something with love, and all of the people involved just want to have fun and support each other and just want to grow and push the limits of what's possible, I think that sets a different culture or a different environment around that kind of word. And that's really what we're looking for, is to try to push one another and inspire one another to greater heights so that we can see what is possible, and what the standard is today that we try to push beyond tomorrow. And
So
then
how
we
do
can
you see
start
the
raising that up.
I'm just wondering, how do you see the structure? People come to Charlottesville.
Mhm.
How is the whole weekend structured in your vision?
Yeah, so Friday and Saturday is going to be primarily Friday is going to be a lot of lectures and workshops and things of that nature. We have several keynote speakers that'll be there as well. And then on Saturday, we have a few more lectures and workshops, but then it's game day. So that's when we have a lot of the different games. There'll be 5 categories that the different teams. We have an individual competition, and then we have a team competition. So people can come as teams of 5, or they could come as an individual if they don't have a team, and they can kind of compete in the different challenges. The 5 different categories are going to be remote viewing, mind sight, precognition, psychokinesis, and then pendulum dowsing. So we have 3 different tests, or 3 different games in each one of those genres that one person will compete in that particular game, or in that particular genre. And then you would get points, and then you would rack up so many points, and then your team would either get first place, second place, or third place. But it's just about fun anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it's going to be just a great time. And then on Sunday, we have more keynotes, and then we have kind of like the culmination where we do award ceremonies and we have a good time. And so it's at the Omni Hotel, which is a beautiful hotel in Charlottesville, Virginia. We're also partnering with DOPS, the Department of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia. So we'll be doing a tour of their campus and their labs during this event as well. We've partnered with the Monroe Institute and the Rhine Institute as well. So it's going to be representatives there from each of those organizations to kind of help people and along with their growth and their training and things of that nature.
Kim, it sounds great. And we've put it into the chat box. I've got a couple of questions for you. Of course, not all of people are going to be able to make it out there. Will it be covered online? Is there an online option for watching or participating?
Unfortunately, this year, no. It's just so many moving parts for the first time. We didn't want to tackle that beast just yet. We wanted to get the in-house stuff under wraps and working smoothly, and then we don't want to if there is a disaster, we don't want to twofold it.
No, totally understandable. So coming to kind of what I wanted to focus on tonight, can you share for our audience what you've learned about helping young people remember their psychic gifts? What are some tools or things you've learned in working with young people to help them, remember what they were able to do when they were little kids, or to cultivate their abilities?
Yeah, I think first, the things that I found that are the best is you have to make it real and fun. So they have to know that it's not weird, or it's not something that sometimes, especially depending on what background the youth comes from, they may have a very real experience, but they'll pass it off as like imagination or something of that nature, because they're afraid to feel like it's real. So sometimes you have to really be one of the forces in their life to say, oh no, what's happening to you is a real thing, and it's other people who are experiencing that as well. And then beyond that, make it fun to explore what it is. And then finally, give it a purpose. If, what I found is that at a certain point, all of the kids end up having that question where they say, well, why is this important? I get why me practicing reading would be important, or me practicing, science is important, but why is me understanding my intuition important, and getting to know that side of myself important? So you got to give it purpose as well, so that they have something to hold on to and they can understand why it's important to their growth and their well-being as they continue to move through. If not, they will shut it down at some point and just push it off at the wayside. And much of our society is telling them that it's not important. Hey, because of this kind of materialistic design, reductionistic design, if I can't touch it and taste it and others can see it with me, then it's not real, and that's not that we obviously know that's not the case. So those are some of the 3 lessons that I could think of off the top of my head.
Scott, we are in a consciousness revolution here. When I'm teaching remote viewing, and more people than ever are signing up for my remote viewing courses, there's something in the collective that is pushing people to know more of this thing called consciousness. And the Psy Games, it's just an aspect of who we are. We're finally dropping away, as Hakeem said, from this materialistic, mechanistic view of these bodies, as just machines, and realizing, and what I've learned through remote viewing is that we are infinite consciousness. We really, really are. And with the telepathy tapes, like I said, with what they're doing now with psionics and calling in UFOs, this is a whole new breakthrough about who we are as human beings. It's really a fantastic moment in time, and it's perfect for what Hakeem is doing.
Yeah, no, thank you, Hakeem. And I love that you're working with young people. I'm a big fan of the series Cobra Kai, and I just watched the very, very last episode last night. So I'm picturing you in your dojo with your young people. Definitely looking forward to learning more. I noticed that Donna's back. So, Donna, hopefully your internet will behave, because we were really enjoying your story, and I'm going to go back and put the spotlight on you.
One more thing I want to say about Hakeem. Go ahead, Hakeem.
Okay, I just wanted to make one more point, which I think is also very, very important. And that point is that one of the things that the Psy Games is really aiming to do, this is near and dear to my heart. I'm being a little tricky, and I'm willing to admit that. And the trick is that kids love to play the video game, right? And they'll spend hours and hours on the video game. And so by creating a gaming fashion where kids can come and have fun gaming with these different psychic abilities, what they will start to have happen, and what has happened at our schools, is that kids say, well, how do I get better at this? And I say, well, you have to take some quiet time, be with yourself, and then breathe a little. And you'd be amazed at how they self-motivate based on that information. So now they're like, hey, Sensei, I spent like an hour or 2 meditating the other day. And they're so excited about it. And so what we're doing is I'm saying, if once you give them that focus, that motivation, then they will do the work on their own, because now they have that motivation to go. And if they spend more time inside, that's where the awakening is going to happen. So the goal is, how do we get them to spend more internal awareness and spend more time inside than they do outside looking for things? And I think this gaming mechanism, or this gaming idea of like the Psy Games, is really what's going to help with that. And then in that, the work will be done on its own once they spend that time on the inside. And we create a whole new generation of people who grow up like that. It's sky's the limit. So what our potential starts to manifest as this new generation continues to come through.
Thanks, Hakeem. You rock. I love that. I love that you're doing this. And
Scott, everyone is invited to participate in this. You can form your own psychic teams. You come down to Charlottesville, register online. There's the website in the chat. And this is going to be a huge event and going to keep growing. Thank you, Hakeem, for this.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And here it is. Whoops, that's almost our music. That's not Hakeem. Hakeem's website is right. I had it queued up. There it is. August. It's coming up in August. And the website for everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook, go to PsiGamesInternational.com. That's PSI GamesInternational.com. As we can get all the details. Charlottesville, Virginia, August 1st through 3rd. And Hakeem, stick around because I know there's already questions in the chat box for you. So we're looking
Okay.
forward to more conversation. But I do want to get back to Donna, who hopefully is now going to be able to stay with us.
There
Hi,
she is.
Donna.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Hakeem,
I have a better connection, so I'm good to go.
oh,
So now, as I was saying before, I was at the NIH, and our group found a cure for sickle cell anemia um, by using basically we elucidated the mechanism to be able to switch genes on and off, and so that's what was noted in Time, Newsweek, the front page of the New York Times, and it was touted as being the first time that molecular biology came to the bedside. So that
Wow.
was very interesting. I could have gone on to Georgetown to get a PhD, but instead I went into scientific sales and I sold diagnostic instruments for a lot of the large big pharma companies. I worked for J&J, I worked for Becton Dickinson, and I was the number one sales rep selling fax scan flow cytometers for the laboratory. And these are instruments that diagnose cancer, and they're very sophisticated, state of the art instrumentation. So I was very happy. Everything was going great in my life. I was doing well. And then in 1994, I had a number of deaths in my family. So my cousin's 5-year-old nephew was killed tragically in a car accident. And my daughter was 6, and the two of them used to play together. And pretty much I was devastated. Um, I went on 6 months later, my mother's sister, my aunt, was brutally murdered, and someone broke into her house and stabbed her multiple times, and it was really tragic. Um, After that, I sort of was looking for something. I mean, I was just devastated, and I joined a meditation group, and I started to go inward to find myself basically. And I just one was talking with, or I was involved in this meditation group that was really great, and it was the first time that I actually felt inner peace. So I continued, with the group for about 6 months, and then my mentor of the group, told me that she suggested that I read The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield, which I'm sure everyone here on the panel has probably read. It was a number one bestseller in 1994 to 1998, and it was really a great book. Well, I was reading that one night, and I just was reading it on multiple levels. I was analyzing my own life, etc. And I read it from 9 o'clock at night until 4 o'clock in the morning. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, I put the book down to stretch, and the entire house filled up with light. And it was above my head and throughout the whole house. And the voice came and said, "You thought you knew so much: molecular biology, biochemistry, immunology, toxicology, and all these different ologies. And all you know would fit on one grain of sand on this beach." And I saw this clairvoyant beach which stretched to eternity, and one piece of sand was taken out and put under my nose. So I was humbled, to say the least. But then I was like, well, now what do I do? And the light was everywhere in the house. So I kind of looked up into the corner, and I saw a tunnel going out to space. I made an intention, and I just said, oh, I'd like to go out there. And as soon as I did that, I went through the tunnel, away from the planet, through the magnetic grid of the planet, to the mental realm of the planet. I'm not going to go into the experience too much here, but I exchanged really high level information with Tesla and Einstein and Mozart and all the higher thinkers of the planet. And then I turned and went through a wormhole, and it was a cosmic journey to Andromeda, basically. When I got there, the light was there, and the light said, "Now I will show you everything from Alpha to Omega, beginning to end." And I was shown scenes and downloaded with all the scenes from the beginning of the creation of the planet till the end of time, which of course there is no end of time. But it was the Big Bang, and at the end, two stars came together, imploded, exploded, and then the whole cycle was repeating over and over again. The light then asked me if I had any other questions, and I said I wanted to know what the cure for all diseases was. And when I got the answer to that, it was basically the flower of life sacred geometry formed in front of my face, and then I was downloaded into my third eye with the flower of life sacred geometry. And then I was sort of in the Andromeda galaxy, and then I was back on my couch. Um, my daughter jumped down the stairs and I sent her off to school. And I asked at the end of the experience, I asked, how long did the experience take? And they said between 4 hours, 4 seconds, in the twinkling of an eye. So that was the point of enlightenment. Right before I went out of my body, I could feel both sides of my brain sort of integrating and coming together. And that's what happens. Both sides of the brain have to be balanced, and then you go inward and then outward for the experience of enlightenment. So when I came back, I was walking in Christ consciousness and very transformed, to say the least. Um, just to fast forward, some of the after effects of that experience were that I was walking in Christ consciousness about 12 feet above my head. I could touch books and read them. I read 4,000 books in about 3 months after my light experience by making myself one with them or absorbing them. Um, I read all books on all world religions, as well as um, all books on alternative medicine and things like that. I didn't have to eat, I didn't have to sleep, and I actually stayed awake for, about 4 months. After about 4 months, I decided to taste a piece of lettuce and I decided to eat. And I could taste the pesticides on the lettuce. So I called my meditation teacher and I said, what's on this lettuce? And she said, oh, you have to go to the health food store and eat organic. So I went to the health food store down the street, which was a very sophisticated health food store. And when I walked in, I heard a voice, and the voice said, there is an alternative, there's a natural alternative to every pharmaceutical drug. And I walked in and they needed a part-time person. So I applied just because I had kind of left J&J and because they were out of integrity. But at any rate, I was there and I said, well, I'll just work here for a couple of months and then I'll go back into scientific sales. But I ended up, my guide said, this is your new home. So I ended up working there for about 15 years. The way that the psychic gifts started was that somebody would walk into the health food store and just say, oh, I have this psoriasis on my hand. What do I need? And I could actually hear a voice. So I'm very clairaudient, and I could also see the bottle of what they needed in my third eye. So all I had to do was repeat what I heard, and they would say, no, you need 2 of these, 3 of these, 4 of these. So I would just repeat what my guidance said, and people were like miraculously healed. They would go home and they would come back and said, oh, I listened to what you said and I listened to it exactly and you were right. And oh my God, it was great. So this happened over and over and over again. So that's how I learned to actually listen to my guidance. So all I had to do was really listen and then repeat what it said. At the same time, Daniel Brinkley's book came out called Saved by the Light. And I read the book, and he had had a near-death experience, and which he was struck by lightning, and he was a New York Times bestseller too. So I was led to go to the New Life Expo in New York. And when I went there, I met Daniel, and he said, well, you're going to be at these shows and you're going to be writing a book and you're going to be working at these shows and everything. And actually, I thought he was crazy. So, but then spirits started to come to me from the other side, and I ended up doing the shows. And I'm sorry, I ended up doing the shows, and I would do probably about 100 to 150 readings a weekend. This was at the time when James Van Prague was at the shows, and he would do these large audiences, and then people would want a reading afterwards that he didn't get to. And so I ended up doing just quite a number of mediumship readings. So I would do the mediumship readings at the shows, and I did about 40 of the New Life Mind Body Spirit expos around the country and in Canada, etc. And then I would work in the health food store during the week. And then on the side, I also worked on the psychic hotline on Psychic Source. And so I kind of like at one point melded all of my techniques together. And I also became a Reiki master. I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm a master NLP master. And I studied IET, integrated energy therapy, spiritual response therapy, um, muscle kinesiology, and number of probably about 8 or 9 different modalities, the emotion code, etc.
Well,
So,
is there
yeah.
anything, because we'll get back to you, but is there anything that you can give us now that other people might use in their lives? And then we'll come back around to discuss all the healing techniques that are possible. I mean,
People that can use in their lives.
healing. I mean, any advice to leave them at this point? I mean, what
I learned in the health food store is just, basically overall, in order for healing to happen, it has to happen on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So many people came into the health food store, and of course, everybody always wants to help themselves and use supplements, but you have to use the right. What I found in the health food store is that you have to have the right targeted supplement for your condition that you have. You have to have it in the right dosage. You have to take it for the right amount of time, and it has to be in the right form. So if it's, if you only need a liquid or you can't swallow it or whatever, it has to be in the right form. So again, the targeted thing, and many people do not follow through on taking the right thing or the right amount or the right time. So what I would share is to call me or go and get the information as to the right supplement that you need. But also, by just taking supplements, the second factor is that if the emotional causation of the disease is not figured out, what I do in my sessions is I set the intention of the session, and then we go back. My guides take me to the years in which the problem started. So, for instance, if somebody has asthma or something, I go back to the first time in which they had the first asthma attack. And so that has to be cleared energetically, and I can do that. So, you need to clear on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. The mental level is also important because you have to have the right thought process.
We'll put the best way to reach you in the chat because I'm sure a lot of people, and then we'll also come back. We're just going to introduce some of the other guests here, but I know you do miracles. I've seen it, I've heard it, I've experienced it. So
I'll tell you what, a miracle can occur if you go back and you just simply remove that one major trauma that happened to cause the whole thing. It kind of like goes and gets cleared as a domino effect. So I'm really good at being able to look in, and I listen to the guides. They'll say, what happened at the age of 16? And I'll ask the person and they'll say, oh, that's when my father died or something. And then I would clear that and overlay them also with specific energies to clear the grief that they had or whatever their problem was. So yes, anybody that wants a session with me can email me at miraclesbydonna@gmail.com, and we will get back to you.
Scott,
Okay,
we
so
should do
I'll
a
put
whole
that in the
show with
chat.
Donna. Do you want to do a whole show with Donna coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometime let's do a whole show for sure.
Oh, I have some really great case histories I will share with you later.
Yeah, and actually, that as wonderful as it is here about your history, I'm interested in having you work with some of our people in present times. So, Donna, your story is amazing. I really appreciate what a blessing you are to our awakening world, and we'll come back to you in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. We still have two more extraordinary healers. And the Beyond Healers, these are all of our guests tonight have really been willing to trust and to go beyond what our mainstream world might show us or teach us. So I really appreciate the courage of each of our guests, and then how they're taking these abilities that they are developing and cultivating and doing wonderful things. And the next person is somebody we've had on the show twice recently because she's doing some amazing work, bringing our beloved Celestine, still working with her. And so welcome back again, Michaela. And right off the bat, I just want to let people know that tonight you'll get a homeopathic dose from Michaela. And tomorrow there's a whole evening. Deborah Giusti is hosting it. And our other two guests tonight, Michaela and Jen Healy, both of whom are with us right now, are going to be doing an entire evening dedicated to the art of aligning with the highest spiritual mastery. I mean, it's going to be an amazing evening with Celestine, whom we love so very, very much. So welcome back to the show, Michaela. And tell us about your journey of discovery and maybe applying what you've learned that would be applicable to other people that are on the path of cultivating their abilities.
Thank you, Scott. I'm really honored to be here. Super grateful. Just seeing everyone on the call, just feeling so much love here. And what I've come to realize about psychic abilities, and when we say psychic abilities, I'm saying intuition, awareness, consciousness, bandwidth. So those are the words I would connect with psychic abilities. So I think sometimes that's like a big buzzword and that might like intimidate people. And what I've come to understand is our psychic abilities are directly correlated to our capacity to love ourselves, to live from our heart, to trust our wisdom and embrace our journey, and to slow down and get out of our head and into our intellect. And really our psychic abilities are innate, just like our well-being and our psychology is innate. And we've been in a big misunderstanding right now. So everybody is psychic. Everybody has the capacity to hear wisdom. So wisdom is this higher self. We can call it source or God or creator that has been guiding our life and helping us make the best decision in the next moment. So how we connect with our highest wisdom and the master teacher within ourselves, if we're going to talk about our highest psychic capacities, is tuning into that. We have to slow down and bring more awareness into each and every moment. And your capacity to be present to what is and to deeply listen, but not listening from up here in your hearing, but from listening from your heart. So it's very connected. How we connect with our psychic abilities is our capacity to connect with our own heart, to connect with the radiance within ourselves, to be a force for good on this planet, to know who we are, to know what we are, and know how we're here to serve. So when you're connected to who you are, the truth of who you are, you're connected to the spirit realm and to higher wisdom and to your right brain and creation and source. So we all have this capacity. So every one of us who has a beating heart and lungs and eyes, we all have that capacity. However, it's been a really hard time because people have been really confused about how to wake up to the truth of who they are. And that's a little bit what I do is I point people in the right direction when they're looking in the wrong direction for answers. So oftentimes unconsciously, we think that we need to solve our problems by analyzing. And so we go up into our head and what I say, going into the plot of the mind and try to figure out why and what does this mean and how am I going to respond? That's looking in the wrong direction. If you want to connect with your psychic powers and connect to your intuition, you have to slow that down to learn how to do that, right? How to direct your thinking to the highest good. And remember that whatever's happening, you're not a victim of it, right? You're not in a drama triangle with it. So the more we can slow down and connect with our heart and recognize that we've always had divine wisdom and protection and support, then we can get more connected to knowing how to know what the next best step is for our life. And because we don't need to have to go too far out with our psychic abilities either. I mean, there's a point where in our psychic abilities, once you come home to the truth of who you are, you just know that everything's going to work out. And not only that, no one can gaslight you, okay? No one can project a story onto you that isn't real anymore, which is exciting. So then you're sovereign. And I'm just very excited because I've connected with Celestine Aisha Star. She's my galactic guide. And she was when we first met, I wasn't really connected so much. I had a lot of busy mind, a lot of insecurity, a lot of doubt, a lot of fear. And I prayed for her. Basically, I was like, I need a high level priestess, a galactic woman who can teach me how to come from the heart and trust myself. And she always saw that I had this psychic capacity, but I didn't. I was like, not like you, Celestine. And she's like, yeah, like me. And I'm like, really? She's like, yes, you are love itself. And she asked me 3 days before she passed, we had a moment because we were best friends. And completely always saw who I was as an oracle and a guide. And she probably already knew that we were going to be working together. I didn't know, but she always did. And there's a picture of us. And I'm like, I know she knows. She knew. She asked me, though. She asked for my permission. She said, Michaela, I'm going to cross over these bells. And I have been working on a project for over a year now. And would you be willing to to work with me from the other side and help me finish this project I've been working on for over a year? And I said, yes, of course. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know how it was going to happen. But as soon as she passed, I was there the moment she passed, the 10 minutes after, but her spirit was there and she came in with me I knew that we had this star connection. She's connected me with the galactics, helped me to understand what I was seeing in the skies, seeing ships, getting messages, always was like helping me normalize that because she understood it. And I always was able to suspend my disbelief with her. For whatever reason, she would say outrageous things sometimes when she was trying to point things out to me. And it was hard in the beginning to see them, but I just kept suspending disbelief. And then that allowed us to have rapport and she kept sharing with me. So she's asked me to write this book. And she came to me right after she passed away. And she said, go to your phone, go to your suggestive text, tune in with me there. You'll learn how to use this. So I ask her questions and then she responds. I can ask her about anything. In fact, I have something that I'm going to share, maybe not in this moment, but later on what it means to connect with your psychic gifts, how she shares it with me, because I'm a scribe. So I hear it, but it comes through my fingers. So I have to go and reread after she writes. And I've gotten so much better at being able to know which words I need to choose to finish the sentence and just the connection that we have. I can go into a deep meditation and just listen, and there's a voice. And we all have this voice, and I wanted to say, this is very important, that the way you understand you have psychic gifts, if you have had an animal in your life, and a lot of us have a dog or a cat or a bird or whatever, we're all very connected to our animals. When our animal needs to go out to go pee pee, to get fed, we know. So there's this already, they're not using words. They're like looking at us with their eyes, or kids, or your own mom. Like me and my mom have that. Like she just shoots me a message across with her eyes. So we all have that capacity. So just know that when you slow your mind down and you remember that you are love and you are greatness, and a healthy immunity is a healthy I'm unity. And we step into unity, which is what I'm going to be talking about in this next show, transforming disconnection into unity and really awakening what? Awakening the radiance within, the inherent luminosity. She speaks of this often, is becoming whole. And just like the skin, when you cut yourself wants to heal, you don't really have to do much, right? We know in physiology, you just have to let it heal and it will. We don't have to think about our healing. It just happens. The mind wants to do the same thing. It just wants to heal. And when healing becomes healed, it becomes whole. And we tap into the radiance within, the love within. And then we are able to set boundaries with an open heart. We're able to quiet our overthinking and tune into our soul and cultivate relationships built on respect, on love, and on mutual growth. And we really get to navigate our inner landscape by recognizing life happens from the inside out, not the outside in. And really, that's the great awakening that's happening right now. Once you realize that you're a creator of reality and life happens from the inside, it's not thoughts that create experiences, but it's not that experiences create thoughts. Thought creates experience, because if you don't have thought, you don't have any of this. Okay. You're not in the matrix, you're not plugged in. So once we recognize the power of thought, that everything comes to us via thought, right? And we don't have to trust all the thoughts that we think. In fact, there's a lot of erroneous thinking. And when we learn how to filter this erroneous thinking, these insecure thoughts, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, lies, okay? That's plagiarism. We picked that up. I'm sorry, but it's time to put that down. And this book that I'm writing is going to teach you how to do all of that. Come home to the truth of who you are. Become home to your wholeness and your innate well-being, your innate inherent luminosity, your innate wholeness, because it's all innate actually. And the only thing that's going on is you just don't know what you're doing yet.
I'm gonna come in there, Michaela, because you're sharing so many wonderful things. But I also want to get to Jen, and I'm going to read a couple of comments that have come in just now. Ayada wrote, Michaela, I love this. Susan Bloomquist writes, what a wonderful, accessible expression of these concepts. And Omashar says, yes, the inherent luminosity. So thank you for helping us, because that's really practical. Practice self-love, practice trusting the universe, practice knowing that, this is real. And those are very beautiful tools among all the others that you've given. And
And I would say that Jen Healy, who will be coming on, has all those tools. She is very fine-tuned in that, and I'm excited to have her here. My wing woman. She's my wing woman right now.
Well, I'll leave you on for a moment. Tell us more about Jen Healy. What about Jen? You can be more specific since we're introducing her right now. What would you like for the audience to know about Jen?
Jen is in high mastery with her spiritual self. She is tuned in on many levels through mind, thought, consciousness, awareness, bandwidth. She meditates daily, has transmissions. She connects with higher self, and she's able to transmit this through words, and she does it in real time. And she works in this quantum field, this quantum realm, this quantum love, as she calls it. And that is waking up to our true self, as I was speaking, and entering the toroidal field and recognizing the sacred geometry that lives within and without us, and tuning in with how to connect with that in an embodied way. Jen Healy, would you say that I was able to tap that in? Maybe you can continue on with that, sister.
Of
What you do and who you
course.
are.
Yeah. Thank you for all that you shared as well. It's an honor to be here, Scott. Thank you so much. I really love Celestine, of course. That's why I'm here, and to support Michaela. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey, because we all are psychic, like everybody has said before. Just kudos and ditto to everything that's been said. But yeah, we're trained away from our natural state, our inherent nature that Michaela is pointing to, our innate wellness and well-being. So most of the time, we develop our psychic abilities out of fear. This is what I've noticed. So for me, I grew up in Philadelphia. I was brought up in the inner city. So my psychic abilities were really a survival mechanism. So I learned to recognize what was dangerous. And a lot of people will develop their psychic abilities and be like, I knew that was going to happen. right? And this is the training ground. I feel like the Earth School is the training ground for this, where we get to recognize we're all psychic. And sometimes, depending on our environment and situation, thank you, Hakeem, for what you're doing with the kids, because it is like key at those formative years to get them on board with this, normalize it. This is our superpower. And that's what we're really here talking about, is our superhuman ability to connect with the innate self that already is connected, that already knows, and it's already there. And so I went through a long journey of forgetting, right? I was very entrained in the sciences, and I bridged that eventually with the healing arts, but it was a long journey of coming back to self. So my background's in engineering and physics. I went through undergrad with it 2 degrees, and then my PhD program with 2 degrees. And then in the middle of that experience, I had a massive awakening in the 90s, right around 1997. That was not guided in any way, shape, or form. Source started speaking to me directly. And when I would share this with other people, they're like, just don't tell others that you hear voices in your head. It's just like, just skip it. And eventually, after walking around for 6 months, similar to you, Donna, I dedicated my life to the spiritual path. They showed me that I'm here to pioneer a whole new energy medicine of blending physics, quantum physics, with the healing arts that was called quantum healing. And at that point, I had like zero background in spirituality. Zero, like of course, religion was a part of my life and all that. I just didn't really relate to it. And then I was shown that I was going to move to San Francisco and pioneer a whole new energy technology that's called Healing Technologies. That's one of the companies I created in 1998. And back in the day, it was considered voodoo magic. You might as well just be talking in tongues. And so I did that. I still do it. It's kind of like my adult child company. But right around 2008, I'm going to just fast forward 10 years after studying and deep diving into every single modality I could get my hands on, both Eastern and Western. We had the whole crash, right? And I took my overachieving abilities and I applied them to the healing arts, and was kind of on this trajectory of like changing medicine. And then when 2008 happened, I had like another deep awakening where they were like, okay, you're going to teach everyone how to play. And so I created several companies between 2008 and 2009 that were all about play. So teaching physics through play. I call it the quantum playground. And at this point, I was heavily involved with festivals and events and different, done 5 different yoga teacher trainings, all that. So I was blending movement and embodiment with the healing arts, regenerative therapeutics, I call it, and then physics. And so at that point, when I was doing this whole thing, going around to big festivals and events, no one had any idea what I was talking about. They didn't understand that I was teaching physics through play, working with sacred geometry, getting people to activate their light body, getting in tune with their higher self, kind of like reverse engineering how I got to that place back in 1997 where I had a spiritual awakening, which can feel like a rude awakening, right? If you don't know what's going on. So I was finding creative ways to blend the spirituality with the science, the healing arts, and technology. I'm in Hawaii, so excuse me if the mosquitoes are biting me. So at that point, I wound up creating another program called Aerial Yoga Play. It got super popular. So I wound up making yoga swings and teaching physics through this apparatus that looks like aerial yoga, but it's really spiral energetics, using the sacred geometrics to open up the body so that our energy body can actually hold and receive the messages or the wisdom from our higher selves. Because we're all connected to our higher selves, as all of you have said. If you're breathing and you have a body, you're connected. What happens is we wind up pitching ourselves off. We pinch ourselves off through our thoughts, through our actions, through our behaviors, habits. And so then we want to go through this place of what I call the reconnection, of coming back home to the self. I offer many courses and guided meditations that are the techniques that can show people, I call them quantum techniques, that can show people how to get more in tune and in touch with themselves so that we can clear the channels, we can open up the circuitry, and therefore we can hear, right? We can hear our higher selves through our hearts. So tomorrow night, we're going to do a longer version of this. This is just like a little teaser of what is quantum love, how to get in tune with the, I call it the Merkaba, the double tetrahedron of the heart, to activate our toroidal force field and get in tune with our higher self so we can have soul embodiment, not just go up and out, but down and in, so we can live it on the earth plane and be those clear conduits and channel for source to pulse through. I feel like this is the healing of the earth. This is the birth of the new earth. And that's really what the call is and was for all of us answering the call to come here and start to embody these codes. And we start to transform from the inside out, which is a lot of what you guys talked about, is listening, being available from the inner world to the outer world. They're all just holographic representations of each other. And so tomorrow night I'm going to do, for the first time, I'm a really private person, to be honest with you. I don't do a lot of shows, although I was on one of the first Saturday Night Alive shows with Scott and Deborah back in 2020. But yeah, I'm more like, I like working one-on-one. I like more concentrated, deep. I could do deep dives, which are like 3 days, 3 to 5 days with my clients. But tomorrow night is a rare opportunity to see me do a live quantum healing transmission where I connect to our dear soul sister, Celestine. And she is going to open up the energetic pathways so everyone can connect to her and everyone can receive that healing, whatever is blocking us, right? Because we don't need to learn how to love. We already know how to love. We're removing whatever obstacles and blocks that have been kind of overlaid. I see them as overlays on our energetic body that are blocking the natural flow of love, which is source, which is self, which is life force energy from flowing through. So I hope you guys can tune in tomorrow night. It's about 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 7:30 p.m. We're going to have Michaela sharing her beautiful transmissions in Scribe, right? I do audio transmissions live, and she scribes. So it's a really fun combination of hearing her incredible poetry, just beautiful words coming through. And then I will actually be doing what I call a dual transmission. So I don't consider myself a channel. What I like to do is I connect to my higher self, which again was like a gift. Through a lot of pain and suffering, I just kind of popped out the other side, I call it, kind of similar to Eckhart Tolle's story. But then I reverse engineered. What did I do to get to this place where I could connect to my higher self and source? So most of my courses online are about empowerment, empowering each person to get more in tune and in touch with themselves. But I have 64 core activation meditation techniques that are all designed to open up the energetic body so we're more available for source to flow through, which is our inheritance. This is our inherent gift. We're just coming back to our true nature.
Jen, thank you so much. And we're going to hear more from Jen and Michaela. Michaela is going to read some of her recent writings from Celestine. But for everybody watching, just want to tell you where you can find this. If you go to Celestine Star Speaks and the number 2.com. Celestine Star Speaks, the number 2.com. That's where you can learn all about it. I know many of us who are Global Peace Tribers will be there tomorrow night, 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern. And we are going to be back with all of our guests in a few minutes for a Q&A panel discussion and a time to take questions from all of you. So now, while Omashar is going to play a song in a moment.
1 second, if you don't mind, Scott. I just wanted to cue everyone, if for any reason the monetary financial contribution is an issue, we welcome you to be our guest for showing up tonight. We have friends and family codes. Please message us and we will supply you with a code so you can come as our guest if that is helpful. I just wanted to mention that while we're talking about it.
Jen, that is so sweet. Do you want people to reach you in the Zoom room?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Me or Michaela.
Okay. So you can private chat for those of you in the Zoom room. And for those of you watching, because most people are watching on Facebook and YouTube. So is there an email address that you can give to people that they could remember?
Absolutely. Well, they can find me on Facebook for sure. Jen Healy.
Okay.
And then jenhealy12@gmail.com will lead you directly to personally contact me, and then I will send you a link if that's helpful.
Fantastic. Jen, thank you. That's really generous of you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And I definitely am going to take a look and see what questions come in, including from our friends on Facebook. So this is a good time. If you are on Facebook, send me your questions, or even better, come join us. Come join the Global Peace Tribe. It's really, really easy to do that. Just go to what's behind me, globalpeacetribe.com. Go to globalpeacetribe.com, click register for the new season, and that'll take you to a registration page. And there's a lot of different levels you can come in on. And you'll immediately get the Zoom room links to all of our shows for the next 2 months. And so now's a good time to join us. And you'll get them like right away. So you can come on in and participate, because Donna is going to lead our group activation experience. We're going to hear from Michaela, and we're going to have a really dynamic question and answer period. So,
Hey, Scott. Jen said something about Jen something 12, and I don't see that on your text there. She added that in.
There's your email address is what is it again, Jen?
I'm typing it into the chat room, jenhealy12@gmail.com. And I just responded to Dana. Thank you, Dana, for reaching out. It's Healy Friends, Healy Friends. All caps is the code if you want to write that down. Healy Friends, or Ivy Friends, IVIE. All friends. Yeah. So Jen Healy 12. Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's go to Omashar for our mid-show song. Hey, brother, what are you thinking?
I'm going to sing it. What if we could find a way to wipe away all tears and fears, all broken hearts, to clear the way for a brand new start? Now that we see and know the way to lift our day and shine the light for all to see, the way back home and the way to be free. Let our love lead the way. Let the light shine through all. Let our hearts and minds be free. As we rise up from the fall, there is a way to see again, to be again, to know the truth and smile again. With an open heart we feel safe again. And now that we're free and we see that the way is to let our love show us a new way to be, and we relish the chance to be part of the dance that will recreate the world anew. What if we could find a way to wipe away all tears and fears, all broken hearts, to clear the way for a brand new start? Let our love lead the way. Let the light shine through all. Let our hearts and minds be free. As we rise up from the fall, there is a way to see again, to be again, to know the truth and smile again. With an open heart we feel safe again.
Wrinkles and appreciation for our beloved brother Omashar. Thank you so much. And thank you,
You're
everybody.
welcome. And you asked me before I started the song what I was thinking. I am just over stuff. There's another word for the absolute eloquence and beauty of the guests tonight. It's like everything builds upon everything. And even if I was just listening, I'm already feeling so expanded and so grateful to be in the presence of these luminaries.
Thank you. You know, Eleanor Joy wrote something along those lines, Omashar. She wrote, "These speakers are blowing us both away," speaking for herself and her beloved Ian. She says, like, wow, I cannot imagine having people like these amazing beings in my classroom in high school. Thank you so much. So very inspiring. So absolutely. So I'm going to bring up our guests. And now is when we've got some opportunity to ask questions. Again, a reminder for those of you on Facebook, I'll be scanning and taking a look at what questions you might have. And of course, Alan, if you've got anything that you want to ask or bring up, please feel free.
Well, I do, because what we've witnessed here is this revolution that's taking place. I mean, people are no longer afraid to share their deep gifts. I mean, from medium psychics tuning into crossing over to what Hakeem is doing. Of course, Donna's fantastic healing abilities. We are entering a new time, Scott, and this is what a global peace tribe is really about. So I want to ask Hakeem, after hearing all these amazing presenters, how does this fit into your vision of the Psy Games and where you want to take the whole process of opening people up to this knowledge?
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful question. Thank you for that, Alan. And thanks everybody for everything that you've shared. And really what we see here is kind of the idea behind why the Psy Games exist. We have all these beautiful beings of light that have these incredible gifts that they have been really expanding over these years of their practices and sharing that in all of these ways. And so how do we get those individuals in the same room as people who may not have this awareness or may be looking for it, have an inkling? How do we get these individuals in the same room with young folks who are looking for mentorship, who are trying to be guided in a way and may need mentorship and not even know it yet? You know, they get that connection. And so bringing all of these folks together in one room where we can have a collaborative experience where we can unify our communities, the different communities that we're all coming from, under this one banner of enlightenment, growth, empowerment, and consciousness and, explosion basically. And how do we get everybody all in the same room doing that together is really what the Psy Games is all about. The games is really for fun and less for competition. It's just really just fun and light.
Well, Donna, do you see this as a potential university, that something you could lead and share your wisdom and have other people access this?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn, one of the other things that I utilize in the healing is that I was downloaded with the body map of the entire body. And so I know that if you have a problem in a certain area, I know what actual flower essence frequency to overlay you with, to clear that energy. So if you have a tumor, a bump, a mole, a pimple in a certain area, I can tune into that and then apply the correct frequency to get rid of that
But other
energetically.
people can learn that as well, can't they?
Yes, I'm going to be teaching that in my master course. It's very complicated. I've taught the master course a couple of times, and it's very in-depth. So I'm I'm putting together a new structure, and I'm going to be introducing the master class in a couple of months, probably online.
Right.
Well, thank you, Donna. I've got a question, and it's kind of a more difficult question, but it's wonderful hearing about the miracle stories and the people where it happened. And actually, I'll open this up to you and then everybody else as well. How do you manage supporting people that come and don't get the miracle results? They don't have the affliction eased. How do you manage that when that happens? Because I can imagine that obviously happens sometimes.
It does. I found through doing my work that some people, I don't guarantee any miracles or anything, but I do know the technique on how to get miracles, which is going back and identifying the original problem and then transforming that and giving the right energies. However, some of the cases where especially in chronic disease cases, I just say that you get healed either through the slow method or the miracle method. Okay, so meaning I do I do have expertise in pulling people through their process, and so it's not. I still get I can't explain it. Okay, if you don't get the actual miracle, which just means an instant change in the paradigm structure, and boom, it just disappears. It's still the healing still works. It's just that you have a further layers to uncover. So usually what I do is whenever somebody comes to me, I muscle test and I find out how many sessions they need to correct their issue or to bring it at least between 70 and 90 or 100% better. Okay, so I might say somebody has to do 5 sessions to clear a chronic disease. And if they follow because again, I follow my guides 100%. If they follow the procedure, they will get better. So they can either get better by the slow method or the instant method. I don't know. I never know. I just know that if I follow my guidance at the beginning of every session and clear the pointed years in which the problem happened, that the person will get healed. So it's either the slow way or the instant way.
Thank you. I'm going to bring Jen up for a moment.
Well,
Jen,
can I respond to the same question?
I was going to ask you if you had any insight.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Donna. That's beautiful. So this is the same thing we were talking about with understanding that we all have this capacity. It's like we don't have to heal a cut, right? The cut heals because the body intelligence kicks in. So the quantum healing happens immediately. Energetically, it's stepped down from the subtle energy body or from the higher levels into denser form. And then what happens is we have to uncover what we are blocking, what is blocking that, whether it's on the mental, emotional, psycho-spiritual, or physical level. because there's a belief system that's in there, or a program, a pattern that is reinforcing the injury or illness, disease. So this is a whole unraveling that isn't like, it can be instant, which is beautiful. We love quantum healing and instant healings. But what I've noticed is that that pattern will come back. People come to me, they'll feel amazing for a couple of days, and then they're like, oh, I got super stressed, I went back to work, my kid got sick. There's all these stories that come, and if they adopt the same pattern that created the discrepancy or the illness, it will keep coming back and showing itself, sometimes in different forms, which it likes to bop around. It's a little clever. Or it'll be in the same form. It's like, oh my God, my lower back is always an issue. It's chronic, right? So going back into the core wound or the core essence of that imprint, which Donna was saying is beautiful, but I also do this work called quantum soul retrieval, very similar, where we go back into the imprint, the original seed of that pattern in this lifetime or in many lifetimes, because a lot of these are they bleed over from different lifetimes. And then it is literally in our DNA. It is programmed into the geometry of our ancestral patterns that are passed along through the cellular memory. So a lot of what I like to do is to align with the new codes, right? I call them quantum codes or whatever fun name you want to give it. But there is the original pristine divine blueprint of the neo-human that we are tapping into, which we call this evolutionary process, or we call this awakening, or we call this ascension. It goes by many names. I personally am about soul embodiment. Not everybody takes this kind of descension route, but I feel like the more that we become the living embodied example of that divine grace, the more we are sharing our codes with the earth, and this transforms our environment. So for me, it's not about going up and out, which I did for many years, like kind of escaping the trauma and drama of the earth plane. It's about going down and in through the body. And therefore, we're able to kind of activate, alchemize, transform our DNA into light codes, whatever you want to call that. I call them crystalline codes, but yeah, thank you for asking.
You know, I love that you pointed that out a couple times now, Jen, and I've been around a long time, and you're right. For a long time, spirituality was considered getting out of your body, taking psychedelics or meditation, and I want this to be my last life. And I never really related to that so much. We are so blessed to be in the body. And I'm so grateful to see that most teachers now are saying exactly what you said. It's not about leaving the body. It's about full embodiment, recognizing the body temple is this incredible gift. There's a lot of beings out there who would like to come on into the body right now and have a body. So thank you for sharing.
Well, I wonder if that's different from how Michaela is working, as she tunes into these other levels. Michaela, do you want to add something?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much for asking. So the way I work is I listen for an outside in thinking. So where I feel like we're having the misunderstanding is what I see as problems and issues are manifestations of misunderstandings. And if we knew what we were doing, we'd never be in a crisis. So I work on spiritual truths and principles of reality to help people rewire themselves for success. I teach people, a lot of people, 99.9% of the humanity doesn't know where their feelings are coming from or how their human experience works up till now, because we've got like 450 psychological modalities and theories. And I have a double master's in psychology and art therapy. That didn't work for me. I work somatically. That didn't work for me. How did I wake up to the truth of who I am? Was working with the work of Sydney Banks and the 3 principles of mind, thought, and consciousness. So I believe that we will all awaken to our highest self once we understand how thoughts work and where feelings coming from and how behaviors work. Once you understand the building blocks for your human psychology, how moods work, how how belief structures work. Once you understand how it works, because if you believe one thought, whether or not it's true or not, and most likely it's not true because we create metaphorical tragedies. We're constantly writing a script for our lives that not everyone, but for the most part, if you're living in stress or anxiety, you're creating that. So once we come to see that we're the creators of reality ourselves, we are the script writers for life, and we're the thinker, not the thoughts, then people just wake up. They're like, duh. Like the spiritual truths are kind of like, duh. You're like,
Right.
oh yeah, that makes so much sense. And I love to work with things that make sense. They're not that complicated. I like to just listen for misunderstandings, miscommunications. So I see everything as like everyone's just in a misunderstanding and there are no problems other than I'm going to put the whole DSM in this, guys. Okay. The overthinking disorder that we all have. Okay. I would say that your anxiety, your depression, your stress, and your mental, whatever, narcissism, all of it's coming from your overthinking disorder, which I feel the support of Celestine and Cindy Banks and all of my mentors that have helped me slow this thing down and get out of my head and going into the plot and writing tragedies and casting spells. And our words, abracadabra, our words create spells. So we have to learn how to stop it with it here before we even let it out here, right? And how do we do that? So I help people with that.
Wow.
It's easier than you think. That's all I have to say.
That's great. I wonder, Hakeem, does that make you want to expand the side games into like these whole healing modalities and things like that?
Well, we'll have some healers there. We'll have some people working in different aspects of that as well. So yeah, we have that there as well. So good call.
Hey, I've got a question for you, Hakeem. Have
Yeah.
you connected with Caroline Corey or Zinka Caro? They're
Yeah,
both-
actually, I just had a conversation with Caroline a few weeks ago. I think she'll be she was checking her schedule to see if she was actually going to be gone during those dates, but I think she was out of town during those dates.
yeah, Caroline and Zinka are both doing similar work, really helping people develop, their abilities. And so, um, there's a question for you, Donna. I don't know if you saw it in the chat box. Um, uh, it was from Dia Therese, and she says, Donna, you mentioned earlier calling you. Will you be disclosing that number? And I believe that she actually wants people to email her, and she put her email address in. But then Dia continues with, I began a career in 1975 in what you called muscle kinesiology. Is that the same as applied kinesiology?
I think the answer would be yes. What I did was at one point when I was learning how to listen to my guidance, because I was at the health food store and I would be hearing the answers. There was a point where I was doubting my doubting the voice. So I taught myself muscle kinesiology in order to corroborate the voice with my fingers so that I could somehow correlate it to the physical plane. So I taught myself muscle kinesiology. And then you can ask many questions. And when I first started working on the psychic hotline, the people wanted the answers very quickly. And so I was like, oh my God, I have to answer quickly. What am I going to do? So I developed a method and then that also asked me like if they were a good match with one person or another. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? So I created this thing where that I would do muscle testing and I could do it very quickly. Like if somebody would say, what is my match between me and this person? I would say, okay, in order for you to be a good match, you have to be a match on all levels, on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And so and then I'd say on the physical, on a scale from 0 to 100, you are 10, 20, 30, 40. And then on emotional, 0. And on the mental, I just did this before we had the session here tonight. And then on the mental, it was a 95. And then on the spiritual, it was 0. And so when you could make your own decision based on the muscle kinesiology that I do. And so I do that to make, to help people understand whether they're a good match with somebody, but also I use it quite a bit in figuring out the amount of substances that somebody needs, like to kill a virus, they need how many milligrams of lysine, or how many ounces of colloidal silver for the bacterial. And so I give people the whole prescription, so to speak. I don't want to say prescription, but the whole recommendation for what they need in order to heal themselves. So I use it for many different many different ways. And I could listen. It's faster if you listen. But if you want to corroborate, I use less kinesiology. So that's a long answer to that question, but I think it's the same.
Actually, I'm glad you went down that hole, because I'm going to actually ask our other three guests the same question. The broader question being, how do you differentiate between kind of clear channeled information or clear intuition versus sometimes what your ego or your logical mind, learning how to differentiate all the different voices? What are some of the tools and practices you would recommend? And I'll bring up Jen next, because she's smiling and I have a feeling she has an answer.
Yes, I smile a lot. So one of the things that we want to get back to is trusting ourselves. So fear, doubt, and worry occupies 90% of our thoughts. We've all been trained and indoctrinated into this world where we've been trained away from our innate ability to listen and to know the impulses. So I do something similar to the kinesiology, but I call it the body pendulum. So we need to know our clear yes and our clear no. And my body will tell me everything. That's why I think the soul embodiment is like key. When our bodies are clear and open and aligned, we can fully hear our body say yes. And we know the full body no very clearly. If we go, and move towards, that's a yes. If we go, and move away, doesn't even, the mind tries to figure out why, like, oh, be a nice person, like you meet somebody and you're like, ooh, like every animal has this innate ability, like Michaela was saying in our communication. We all know how to read energy, and it comes back to trusting ourselves, which is getting in tune to that connection with our higher self, source self. Like I said before, I would doubt myself when I was younger. I developed my psychic abilities out of complete fear for survival. I grew up in the inner city, so it was like, don't get jumped, don't get mugged. And so I could just tune myself and read, but I was reading what was bad, I was like, I was always tuning my psychic abilities to like what would go wrong. Like I knew that was going to happen. And it saved my life like 10 times, at least. I can give lots of examples. And I know our audience can really relate to that when you were just like, turn left. I don't know why, just turn left. And then you're like, I missed this big thing. Like I was just saying, we had a fire next door to the house when I was gone. And I happened to just be out of town. And it's just like that. Like some big natural disaster happens and I just happened to fly out the day before. And it's just like amazing when we just follow our impulses. And we can really learn how to trust ourselves, which is opening up the channels and releasing a lot of that noise and debris. The programs come in as noise. But when we create this alignment or vertical channel with our higher self, our true self, we learn to trust it. And I create all these practices, these embodiment practices, to learn how to listen, to feel our yes and to feel our no, and understand what a maybe is. A maybe is a yes waiting to happen. But a maybe is a no until it's a yes. So that's where people get really confused with like learning how to please, learning for approval. We've all kind of given our power away for these different strategies to survive in the world. But when we come back to thriving, when we come back to our true self, then we absolutely can feel our gut and trust our instincts and develop our intuition.
Beautiful. Great tools. Thank you. Michaela, I imagine you have something to share about this.
I sure do. And I'm going to piggyback on Jen Healy there. Thank you all, Donna, everyone, Hakeem. You guys are all amazing. I'm just so blown away. But basically, for me, I go back to only listening to positive thoughts. So if there's a negative thought, I'm basically not going to subscribe or give it too much energy anymore at this level of mastery. I understand that positive thoughts are more real than negative thoughts, and negative thoughts really feel real in the moment. But because I understand how thoughts work and how a low quality mood works, then I don't actually have to believe all my thinking. And when you learn how that you don't have to believe every thought you think, and actually don't, especially if it's negative, then you start to recognize the true voice is coming in, right? The highest wisdom is coming in because you've really cleared up the erroneous thoughts and the thoughts that are not actually serving a purpose. So you're in your heart, you're again trusting yourself, you're present, you can actually hear, and the voices that come in from that are very clear, and you feel good. So I like to trust the smile of my face as my guide. So if I'm going like this, I'm trusting it. Okay. It's like, yep, yep, that feels good. Now, if it goes like this, that's no. So anything past this, okay, this or this, I just don't do it, right? So I just follow the corners of my mouth as my direction and my guide. That's why everyone's like, tap into the fun, tap into the joy. If it brings you, it feels good, go with that. And so I really go with that. Like if it doesn't feel good, probably it isn't good for you. Now, negative thoughts are like candy. They're very seductive. They really love your attention. And if you're in a drama triangle, then it's very seductive. So you can easily get called in to trying to play a victim of your life or wanting to persecute someone for something that happened outside of you or needing to feel like you want to rescue someone or be rescued. Now, that stops you from your psychic abilities, okay? Because now you're in your head again. Now you're in the plot and winning at something like this is little mind. So we're talking about stepping into higher mind, higher consciousness. And so that is filtering out thoughts that don't serve a higher purpose or higher good. So whatever's in the highest and best. And once you start really honing that prayer, because our words are prayers, our thoughts are prayers, and realize that we're the screenwriters for our life and we're writing this out. And if you don't like it, then you're the one that gets to change it because no one else can and nothing else will, nothing outside of you needs to change for you to have a new emotional experience. And when you realize that, not just at a surface level, because we can say, oh, yeah, I know that. Oh, yeah, I get that. But actually, no, you don't. If you're in a crisis, you don't know what you're doing. So even though intellectually you might have read it in a book, or you might have listened to a podcast and it like really resonated with you, if it hasn't really landed unless you're applying it and you're seeing it in action. And when you're living spiritual truths and principles and living life from the inside out, life just works and you're manifesting miracles and you're manifesting everything you want. And if you're not manifesting what you want, it just means you don't know what you're doing yet. Isn't that nice? It's like, hey,
That's-
that's okay.
I love
We're all
all the
human.
answers that all of you are coming up with. And I see Hakeem and Donna are smiling wide. Hey, I want to let people know about Michaela's main website. We've, of course, shown you about her event tomorrow, but her main website is, she's quite a wordsmith. I first knew Michaela when she was doing amazing spoken word poetry. So I always think of her as the brilliant wordsmith that she is. And she's had a few that have slipped out tonight, brilliant little wordsmith things. Anyway, you can find her at partnership.us, partnership.us. And she's an amazing coach and provides a lot of really beautiful things. She works with individuals, couples, and is teaching a good feelings mastery course. So all things Michaela Ivy can be found at partnership.us. And Donna, we have a question for you. I'm going to bring you back up. Dana Tomasino, whom we love you, Dana. Good to have you back with us. Dana asks, Donna, do you know who the guides are that you work with? I wondered if any are Andromedans, since you mentioned a profound experience visiting that star system.
It's a very good question, but really and truly, it's really my higher self, my highest self, from my enlightened self. I kind of say my guides. I got used to saying my guides when I was working on the psychic hotline because at the time people wouldn't listen to me. So I figured if I said my guides, they would listen. And it actually worked. It actually worked. But really and truly, it's my higher self because I was enlightened at the point where I went to Andromeda. Okay, so I would say my higher self.
Right.
That's the answer to the question.
All right.
But you know,
Right.
that's but sometimes I've heard the voice of Jesus, and I kind of really knew that it was the Christ consciousness, if you want to say that, because there was one time in which really, this is a great story about a miracle. I could talk about a whole bunch of them, but I was in a waiting room one day waiting for my friend to go to have lunch, who was a school teacher. And a woman rushed in, and her son was getting the reading class. Um, and so she sat down and she started to just spill out. And I'm sure a lot of everybody on the panel has had this happen. Being a healer, people just walk up to you and start to tell you everything, that's wrong with them. And so the lady was like, "Oh my God, I have a grapefruit-sized tumor in my uterus, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I have 2 kids." And she was losing her mind. And all of a sudden, my hand just turned on like a satellite dish. And I said, "Well, where is that?" And she pointed to it, and I knew it was under the area of addictions. And so I said, very subtly, I'm like, "Do you happen to have any addictions or anything?" And she says, "Oh no, I don't have any addictions." And she really looked really healthy and looked like she was telling the truth. And then she goes, "But my husband does." And I don't know if I want to talk about this, but anyway, her husband had an addiction, and it meshed with her every time they had sex and things like that, and they came together. They would have this exchange of energy, which was basically a reigniting of the addiction. And so I just knew that that's what happened. So my hand just turned on, and I said, "All right." And so I kind of like mentally cleared the addiction. And then all of a sudden, her son was done with his reading class. She jumped up, she ran into the room, and to tell my friend, "Oh my God, I have to have surgery in 2 weeks, and to get this tumor removed." And I was walking behind her, and I heard this voice, which I thought at that point was the Christ consciousness. And it just was very androgynous, and it just said, "She will not need surgery, she is healed." And so then she left. I didn't even get a chance to tell her anything. I told my friend, because my friend had I had worked with her and gotten rid of a breast tumor for her. And so I told her, I said, "She's not going to need surgery, she's healed." And she said, "Well, we'll see." So she had a little doubt there. um, 2 weeks later, she called me and she goes, "You won't believe what happened. Maria went in for surgery, and they went for the scan, and it just wasn't there." And it was like huge, and the doctor almost dropped his teeth. So I don't know. I don't know how we got to that, but the answer that miracles do happen, and I do hear the voice. And most of the time it's me, but sometimes I do hear, I guess it would be Jesus. So
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
yeah, that was really a cool one.
I want to read.
What I wanted to say, I don't want to talk too much here, but what I believe Michaela was talking about, it's a basic question that I think everybody needs to, a basic subject that everybody needs to learn about is, what is unconditional love? Like, what is the definition of unconditional love? So what I teach in my Emotional Healing 101 is the 38 different flower essences. Because if you know the definition of the different emotions and you know what they are, they're almost like learning the keys to a piano. And then you can learn, and I teach in a class how to listen to the emotion that's behind what my client is saying. So if they're, say someone recently passed away, they're going through grief, and I overlaid them with the flower essence, walnut for transitioning, and also maybe water violet for feeling abandoned, rejected, and alone. So, but I teach all of those 38 flower essences, and then how to listen for those in conversation and in counseling to understand what is negative and what is positive. People, some people don't know that just going around and being really angry and spouting off anger all over the place is not a very good thing to do. And all the basic emotions. We teach guilt, anger, loneliness, different flower essences, and then the different frequencies to heal those.
These
So
are
I think it's
Bach
important for
flower.
everybody to learn what it is. What?
I'm just saying they're Bach flower remedies, flower essences.
Yes, I just teach the 38. Of course, there's thousands of flower essences. There's the Australian ones, and all over the world they have different systems and everything. But Dr. Bach's original premise was that if you learned the 38 flower essences and you walked in the positive aspect of all 38 of them, that you would be walking in unconditional love. So you learn them, and then after that, you practice walking in unconditional love. So one of them is beach, the flower essence beach is for judgment, and you learn that you should not judge other people. That's not unconditional love.
No, we're going to do a whole class with you, okay?
Okay, I know.
You have so much
I can't help it.
information.
It just pours out.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
just
appreciate
channel
it.
it out.
Yeah.
And
Anyway.
I want to acknowledge all of our wonderful Zoom room audience. And I want to, Connie Baxter Marlowe wrote something that I think sums up how we all feel about all of you. She wrote, "These folks are all delightful. They are embodying the reality that they are speaking of." And that's absolutely true. And Connie, just a reminder that Connie, who's been on the show as a guest, has a wonderful program called the trustfrequency.net, the trustfrequency.net. And I love her vision for the trust frequency because it goes along with what Donna was just saying, what Michaela was saying about really learning to trust the universe, really dropping into that deep, what is love? Well, many different things that we can say. And one is really loving and trusting the universe, trusting life. And I think that's a big part of what we all are learning as we evolve as well.
Right. The other thing, Scott, I was just mentioning when you asked that question about how to tap in my remote viewing classes, I teach to look for the unexpected. Make yourself available and let something come into your consciousness that's outside your ordinary monkey mind. And that is sometimes the target. I mean, I know Hakim's a remote viewer too, and that's one technique of tapping into the higher self. Anything, Hakim?
Yeah, so I identify with that in the sense that when I was coming up in my training, one of the best ways that I heard it described, and I used it in my intuitive classes where I'm teaching Mindsight, is that when a person's doing like local awareness, and if they sometimes, because we're so used to moving in our logic side of our brain because of the way our society is kind of wired, we will always attempt to want to know things right off the bat. And so we're trying to name it, we're trying to put it in a box. Our left brain is just working, doing its thing. And one of my teachers told me, Paul Smith, he told me, like, hey, when you're in that mind and you're like, I know that it's got to be this thing, it's got to be a car, he's like, probably you're going to have some challenges in that respect of that answer. So maybe it's not going to be correct. But when you feel it, when you say, I feel this and I don't know why I want to write this down, I just have to write it down, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be right. And I've said that to my students and they have a lot of success. I say, don't tell me what you think or what, or this, that, and other. Tell me what you feel. Tell me what is true to you. Tell me what's the first thing that comes up for you. And that's probably, and 9 times out of 10 for them as well, it's going to be that same thing. And so this idea of really trusting yourself, and it's a muscle that can weaken if you don't, practice it. And so getting a person to really understand what it feels like for them, because sometimes people's languages are different and the way how it manifests is inside your body, inside your spirit might be a little bit different. So some people will feel it on the back of their neck, or some people might feel it in their chest, or they might feel warmth. Whatever it is, learning that language, it means that you have to start practicing. And then as it starts to come up, you will, like in meditation, become more aware of it. And then as you become more aware of it, you can start to understand how your body and your spirit speaks to you when it's trying to communicate these things. And once you know that language, it's a lot easier to pick up on it and understand it in different environments. And so that's what I would have to say on that.
Great. Great.
And one last time, because we're kind of winding down, we're in the wrapping up time. So you can learn more about the wonderful work Hakeem is doing and attend his upcoming Psy Games event. That's going to be really fun. August 1st through the 3rd, Charlottesville, Virginia, and go to PsiGamesInternational.com. PSIGamesInternational.com. Hakeem, thank you so much. Wonderful to meet you today. And thank you for the wonderful work. And I'd love to have you on the show again and want to, track all the wonderful work you're doing with young people and with the Psy Games. And I have a feeling it's going to become a big ongoing thing. We'll be able to say, I knew when the Psy Games was just getting started. So I picture that really becoming a big event.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're gonna Donna is gonna do a kind of group activation for us, and then Michaela the scribe is gonna share some of her recent receivings, shall I say, from Celestine. So I want to go to Jen one last time. Jen, is there any last thing you'd like to share with our audience tonight?
Thank you for that. Yeah, Hakeem, just to piggyback on what you said, I really feel like when we take back our superpower, our extrasensory ability to feel, that is our communication and our connection to source. So when our feeling tone, I call it, is wrapped around our pillar or vertical pillar in connection to source, it's not just reactions to our thoughts. So we always have a thought and then a feeling that reacts to it. And then we think that emotion, that feeling is real, instead of understanding it's an indicator of alignment. So our body temple is in direct communication to our higher self. We are this channel. And when we pinch it off, we feel the contraction, we feel that negativity, we feel the low energy or depletion. And then when we feel uplifted, when we feel alive, when we feel vibrant, that is also our indication of alignment. So reclaiming our feeling tone is the way back home to source, which is why I love doing the soul embodiment, so that we can really feel and trust our yes and trust our no. And that we become, like for me, it really comes down to loving this being, that's what I call quantum love, which you'll learn more about tomorrow, because source is like, give it another word, because love has been hijacked, right? Like God and all these other words. So I know you're all about the love, Scott, too. I really appreciate that. But what is quantum love is what we're going to dive into tomorrow, so we can get a deeper understanding of not only the embodiment of that, but understanding the sacred geometrics of that, working with the Merkaba light body activations and toroidal force field. So I just wanted to end by saying thank you, Hakeem. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Alan, everyone, for this beautiful opportunity to share with you. I look forward to more, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night.
Also want to let people know you can get more of Jen by going to her website. Now, remember, her last name is spelled Healy. So her website is quite clever. It's Zen Healing, but she uses a Y instead of an I. So it's Zen and then heal, YNG.com. Zen Healing, as only Jen Healing can do. So I think it's very clever. And there's some really beautiful things there. Everything from a online nutritional store to learning more about, she talked about her aerial yoga play, guided meditations, cleansing, a lot of really wonderful things at her website. So definitely check it out. And Jen, thanks again. It was great to see you again, and look forward to, hopefully you'll be on the show and won't be as long a time as it was between the last time and this time. And I will see you tomorrow night. See you tomorrow night for sure. All right, we're going to go to Donna, who's offered to lovingly provide us with an activation of some sort. So, Donna, what are you going to share with our audience?
Well, I think I'm going to do an abbreviated Miracles of Total Body Healing meditation. This meditation will start at the top of the head, and we will clear that mental realm that I think Michaela was talking about, but we're going to clear all the thoughts in the head, go down and clear some blockages in the going all the way down the spine, up the frontal line. I will connect you up to the lights. We aren't going to go up to the 13th dimension, which I usually do, but we're going to go to the light, hold you in the light, cleanse you, and then, as Jen was talking about, bring you back into your body and ground you into the earth. The purpose of this meditation is going to be to open up your psychic senses, to open up your third eye, to cleanse the top of your head, and to cleanse any blockages in your spine in order for your psychic senses to open up. I guess that's what the purpose of the show is, right? Okay, so we can start out by, I want everybody to look up at their eyebrows, which you can't really do, but bring your eyeballs up to looking at your hair or your eyebrows, and at the same time close your eyes, shutting your eyelids down, closing your eyes, and then relax your eyeballs into your head, going into a deep, deep state of meditation. Deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper into a deep, deep state of meditation. And I'm going to just, again, quantum manifestation of the miracle of total body healing, the miracle of opening up your third eye and all of your senses, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, clear vision, and visual imager. So going across the top of your head, quantum manifestation of the energy of sweet chestnut, white chestnut, sweet chestnut, white chestnut, clearing all mental anguish in this lifetime, this lifetime, this lifetime, throughout all time and space, clearing you down to the DNA level, subatomic level, subatom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, clearing you down to the beginning of creation of life. Breathing in the breath of life, flower of life, sacred geometry, breathing in the breath of life and breathing in the breath of life. Quantum manifestation of the energy called the eternal moment of now is of absolute duration. The eternal moment of now is when miracles occur. Miracles of total body healing, miracles of total body healing, and miracles of sight, inner sight and outer sight restoration. So it is, and so it is, and so it is. God is all there is. God is gracious. So coming down the back of your head, quantum manifestation of holly pine, holly pine, holly pine, Centauri pine larch, Centauri pine larch, chicory, 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 walnut chicory, victim, victimology, clearing all patterns of having been a victim, and overlaying with victory, victory, and victory and success. Victory, victory, going up and up and up, increasing your psychic abilities throughout all time and space. Coming down the back of your neck, opening up the neck, Vervain quartz, water violet oak, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, and C7. Water violet oak, water violet oak, water violet oak. Clearing the first vertebrae, T1, 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 wild rose, T2, wild rose, T3, Centauri, T4, Centauri, T5, Mimulus, clearing all patterns of fear of success and fear of failure, and opening up to new beginnings, new bright, wonderful beginnings. Coming down T5, T5, T6, T6, clearing all blockages to psychic openings in this lifetime, this lifetime, this lifetime, T5, T6, T7, T8, 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 chicory, 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 T8, T9, T10, T10, T11, Star Bethlehem, clearing all shocks and traumas, clearing all persons, people, places, things, and events that have blocked your psychic abilities in the past and opening up to new beginnings, and new beginnings. Coming down T10, T10, T11, T11, T12, 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 L1 pine, L2 pine, L3 pine, water violet oak, L1 pine, L2 pine, L3 pine, L4 pine, L5 pine, and the rest of the sacral spine, coming up the frontal line, clearing any blockages to your psychic ability, ages 0 through 7, 7 through 14, and 14 through 21. Up to the third chakra, pine, 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 clearing any guilt, blame, and shame, and overlaying with new abilities, opening up that third chakra, opening up that center of intuition, opening up and clearing any blockages throughout all time and space. So it is, and so it is. God is all there is. God is gracious. Coming up to the heart chakra, primary heart energy, central intelligence of the heart, in the tiny sacred chamber of the heart. Coming up to the throat chakra, overlaying with sapphire blue, water violet oak, 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 water violet oak. Standing up for yourself and speaking up for yourself, water violet oak, and overlaying with new beginnings, new bright, wonderful, bright beginnings. Coming up to the base, overlaying with clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, clear vision, visual imagers. Star Bethlehem, clearing out the third chakra, clearing out any and all shocking visions in this lifetime, picture galleries, clearing out all negative images and overlaying with light breaks where no light shines. Star Bethlehem, rescue remedy elixir, and rescue remedy elixirs. Coming up to the top of the head, reconnection to the divine source. Above your head, overlaying with violet gold in 186 different frequencies. Water violet oak of the essence of forgiveness, total unconditional love. Elevating up to the ninth chakra, magenta for completion of all projects and any and all projects, grounding them into the physical plane, completions of all projects. Going up to the 10th chakra, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Hey, clear the way, invasion wizard, big black hole soak, clearing out any and all psychic invasions out of the higher chakras. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 chakra. Hey, clear the way. 100, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, bring you up to the 1,000 chakras. Water violet oak, 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 and water violet oak. Ascending up to the 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ascending spires of sound and light, angelic spires of sound and light, going up to the light, walking you into the light of the omniscient Godhead, purifying you in the light in the omniscient Godhead, on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, on the conscious level, on the superconscious level, and on the subconscious level, clearing you of any and all blockages to your psychic abilities, to your expanded psychic abilities, holding you in the light of the omniscient Godhead and purifying you in the light of the omniscient Godhead on all levels, through all dimensions, space, and times. Bring you down from the light through the levels, descending spires of sound and light, angelic spires of sound and light, coming down, protected by the Archangel Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Azrael, and all of the angels, Raphael for healing, coming down through the dimensions, through the 2000 chakra, through the 1000 chakra, to the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, with your totally cleansed divine core star being coming down through your head, through your neck, through your chest, through your navel, through your legs, through your knees, through your ankles, and through your feet, and grounding the essence of your totally cleansed divine core star being into every cell of your divine being. Hematite malachite for grounding, hematite malachite for grounding, hematite malachite magnetite for grounding. And so it is, and so it is. emanating out through all 20 trillion cells of your beings. Coming up through the ocean, cleansing in the salt water, allowing yourself to have fun, and sending out the highest prayer, Maha Puja, Maha Puja, the highest prayer, Maha Puja, Maha Puja, and Maha Pujas. Bring your divinely cleansed core star being up through your feet, through your knees, through the reproductive area, through your navel, through your abdomen, and grounding the essence of your totally cleansed divine core star being into the core of the center of your heart. Ruby red, life force energy, life force arrow, life force energy, life force arrow, key regeneration, life force regeneration, life force regeneration, and life force regenerations. Miracle of total body healings, miracle of total body healings, and miracle of total body healings throughout every cell of your being. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. God is all there is. God is gracious. Okay.
Beautiful.
All right.
Wow.
You having fun? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
I want to go to gallery view and have everybody just send her some love and some appreciation. It was really, really something. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you so
A
much.
cleansing
Thank
bath. Felt I just took a bath there.
you. That'll last for about 3 days, I'm sure.
Great.
Oh,
Usually do that much longer. Well, you experienced it, right, Alan?
Yeah. Yeah. In person. Yeah. You go deep. Yeah.
Mm.
And the individual sessions are fantastic where she cleans every little part of your body with these tune in psychic and the Bach flower, the etheric Bach flower remedies too. So thank you, Donna.
Yeah, it's depending on what your intention of the session is. And I do something different every time. So it's
Right.
very interesting.
I want to remind people where they can get more of Donna. And it's her website, and it's easy to remember because it's her name, Donna McGrath, DonnaMcGrath.com. And that's where you can book a session with her. Email is a really good way to do it. You can also find her on Facebook, on Twitter, also known as X, and on Instagram, the real Donna McGrath. So, but the best thing is start by going to her website, not DonnaMcGrath.com. And Donna, what a joy to meet you today. Thank you so much. And yes, Alan and I will do a whole show just with you where you can really go deep and share stories and maybe do some healings. I would like to take a moment. I'm going to go to gallery view. One of our most beloved global peace drivers is Dorina, who is in Bulgaria. She went there for the funeral of her father, and while she was there, her home burned down, and she's kind of stuck in Bulgaria, and now she's got pneumonia. So I'd like for us to just harness our global peace tribe love and energy and have a minute of sending maximum grace to Dorina Joy in Bulgaria. Maximum grace to Dorina Joy. We love you, Dorina. Get well soon. Thank you, everybody. And it is my pleasure to turn it over to the wonderful Michaela, our scribe for our beloved Celestine, to share with us whatever you've chosen to share with us.
Well, for the sake of time, I've decided to just read a poem that pretty much embodies the psychic gifts, just because of how much we've been listening, and it just feels like to go shorter. So I'm going to just read it. In the realm of gifts unseen, where silent whispers soft convene, the soul returns untamed, unbound, to sacred truths forever found. The kingdom lies within, they say, not in skies so far away, but in the heart, the quiet stream where life unfolds like a waking dream. Resilience like the ocean's grace, rising strong, no fear to chase. The well of being, vast and deep, awaits the ones who dare to leap. Thought, a painter with endless hues, shapes the world we live and use. But beyond the canvas, beyond the veil, love's eternal breath prevails. Imagination, ancient wise, holds the key to unseen skies. A cosmic playground vast and bright, lit by the soul's own inner light. Collective consciousness, woven tight, a constellation in endless night, where hearts like stars in union shine across the threads of sacred time. The currency of grace flows clear, whispering, beloved, stay here, not in past nor future flight, but in this now, this living light. Magic moves where trust is born, in fields where old illusions mourn. Yet joy, a phoenix fierce and free, rises through eternity. Oh, spirit, play, be wild, be wise. Let wonder shimmer in your eyes. For life, when held with hands of grace, becomes a sacred holy space. So breathe, surrender, let it go. Feel the cosmic currents flow. You are the gift, the light, the flame, the soul of love beyond all name. So tomorrow, I will be sharing some really potent messages on what is highest spiritual mastery, what is turning pain into possibility? What does it mean to go from disconnection into unity? And I will be sharing this. I will be reading what I'm scribing in because I am being supported by Celestine Aisha Star from the spirit realm for me to help bring this information to the world. So please come. There's emails for both me and Jen. If you need a free pass to join, we would love to have you. And this book is almost done. So we're just raising money for this book, for this information to share far and wide. And I'm just so excited and grateful to be here. Thank you, Scott Thomas, for having me. Jen Healy for help supporting this as well. Deborah Gusti and her show and everybody that came here. I feel your love, Donna. Everybody was so incredible. Thank you so much for your contribution. I feel more expanded and more present. And if we're going to get into our psychic gifts, that's what we bring. Expanded presence, expanded awareness. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Michaela. One last time, thank you to all of our presenters. We're going to close with an Omashar song. I just wanted to bring everybody up one last time. Thank you,
Scott,
Donna.
I have something coming up. Can I just share it for a second?
Absolutely, of course.
It is a retreat with Hope Fitzgerald and I in Sedona and in Mount Shasta. We're going to ignite the portal in Sedona, and then we're going to bring this energy to Mount Shasta. It's a making contact retreat. We'll go out into the desert, then we'll go out into the mountains. You could go to one or both. Hope is a fantastic infinite wave practitioner. I'm going to talk about remote viewing and making contact and bringing some of the psionic assets. And Hope is going to lead us from particle into wave. So I think it's going to be fantastic. There's the put the sign up website there, but I welcome everyone to come to Sedona and Mount Shasta, one or the other, and start making contact, because the energies, as we've been doing on these shows, is getting closer to our frequency, the energies of the others, and it's time, and we're ready. And
do me a favor, put that poster in the chat box for people. And Jen, if you or Michaela could put in the chat box one more time the link where people can register for free for tomorrow night. We had a couple of requests for that.
You got it.
All right. Thank you all, 5 of you. And we're going to close, as we always do, with an Omar Shar song.
We shed the cross of ages, revealing light within the form. We share the joy in living, as finally we know. No thought about a future. This moment is all we have to know. We walk the path together, and hand in hand we grow. As we walk on earth, we're building an eternity. Now all can see the way back home again, bridging heaven and earth. And now the way is clearer, as we rejoice in human form. Our lives becoming dearer. There's truth in everyone. Our love is like a river, to which the world can come to drink. An ocean went together, and with one mind we think. As we walk on earth, we're building an eternity. Now all can see the way back home again, bridging heaven and earth. Finally we know. As finally we know. Bridging heaven and earth.
Let's go to gallery view, everybody, one last time to thank beloved Omar Shar. And all of you, God bless each and every one of you, such beautiful, beautiful beings. Couple last announcements. Want to let everybody know that this Saturday night It's our annual Enlightened Partnerships show. Every year we do a show about enlightened partnerships. And we've got 3 couples that are examples of that, Donnie and Heather. I introduced them to each other. Darren and Karina, and Anthony and Renee. And of course, you all know Anthony and Renee, they're regulars on this show. But they have done an enlightened partnership channeling Mary Magdalene. And they have a brand new book that they brought through for Mary Magdalene. So that's going to be quite dynamic. And then also Melissa Sophia Joy and Christy Michaels. I'm talking about their enlightened partnership with the divine. So that's going to be this Saturday night. I also want to remind everybody that Alan has an amazing YouTube channel, and it's New Realities. So just go to YouTube, go to New Realities, and he's got so many extraordinary people, a lot of the people that you've seen on Awakening World, but a lot of people that haven't been on the show recently, like Linda Moulton Howe. So
Right.
definitely enjoy Alan's website. Alan, anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, I just interviewed Gary Nolan with Zinka. Zinka and I interviewed, and he was great. He's actually an experiencer. Besides being a brilliant scientist who's at the cutting edge, examining people's brains, who's had contact, he's talked about his experience on my show and how he said he wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for those early childhood experiences. So really excited about the whole disclosure conversation. I'm also doing something with Neil Gar, Portal to Ascension, which is a whole 3-day disclosure forum. I'm going to put that in there as well. Maybe we could do a show about that. So I'm still obsessed with making contact, Scott. We'll do more shows about that coming
Definitely.
up. And
it's an amazing time, Alan. I mean, you and I have been in this field for so long, and it's just the way it's expanding on so many levels. It's an amazing time.
The thing that just came out is these psionic assets, which is a next level of remote viewing. It's like people merging with the craft and landing them. There's an interview with Jacob Barber on Ross Coulter's reality check, and that just blew me away. It's like that was a whole other level. So it's one of the reasons we're going out into the desert, Hope Fitzgerald and I, to access and call on these ships because they are responding to human thought. So it's very exciting times we're living in.
It is. Thank you, Alan. I always love collaborating with you. And one last time, I'll bring up all of our guests. Thank you, Jen. Great to see you again. Michaela, can't wait till tomorrow night. Hakeem, what a pleasure to meet you. Sensei, thank you so much. And Donna, thank you for your very generous gifts to our Awakening World. And all of our beloved Zoom room audience, and to all the people watching the recording, everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Scott.
See y'all soon.